Hi everyone, welcome back to CSharpCorner live show. And as always, I'm your host Stephen Simon, and we are back with another episode of CSharpCorner MVP show, one of my favorite show that we run every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. CEST. Okay, so a couple of announcements before we go ahead and invite our guest. The visual announcement that on every Monday we do Azure AI show, same timing 10 a.m. Eastern. Every Tuesday we do product showcase show and a coffee with pros. It's almost like alternate. Then on Wednesday we do C Sharp Corner MVP show where we feature one of our community leaders and talk about their journey in the community, followed by a technical session. Then we have Ask Me Anything show. We are at episode number 29, streaming every Thursday. I host it. Well, I'm the host in every show, right? But and I think tomorrow we're gonna talk about the sequel. Then on Fridays we have Growth Mindset, hosted by Mahesh Chand. Then on Saturday we have Rock in the Code World with .NET Dave, where David, who is a 12 times Microsoft MVP, brings guests from the .NET ecosystem, usually from the product team, program managers, directors. So pretty exciting show to go ahead and watch. So hi Deepak, welcome to the show. Welcome everyone who is joining us from different location. Drop your location in the comments. It's always interesting to know from which location you are tuning in live shows. So for today's episode, we have Asma Khalid, who is C Sharp Corner MVP, Microsoft MVP. She's from Pakistan, Lahore. She's an aspirant YouTuber. That's very interesting. We can talk about that, what kind of video she makes, right? And without any further ado, let's go ahead and invite our guest, Asma Khalid. Hi, Asma. Welcome to the live show.
Hello, Steven. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Asma. Thank you so much for your time, Asma. We really appreciate it. I know it's kind of almost like eight o'clock at your place, eight at the night. What time is it?
Yes, it's 8 p.m. here.
Okay. So thank you. So I know it's almost like dinner time, but we really appreciate. So everyone who is joining us today, we are going to talk about installing Windows Linux Subsystem, right? And this just goes over my head. And if you guys have any questions related to this topic, Asma is going to go and talk about this, have some presentations and all, and you guys can just drop in your comments, and we'll make sure that Asma answers it. And if she doesn't know, we'll just say we don't know that. Okay, before we go ahead and talk about all these technical sessions, everyone who is joining, this show is an MVP show where we not just talk about technical session, we also talk about how did one get started in the community. So Asma, let me quickly pull up your C Sharp Corner profile, and I was stunned to look at that you have written 78 articles, and your articles have been read close to 6 million times. That's humongous. That's a very big number, right? And you have replied to 178 forums. So Asma, this is a lot of time, I think, that one has to go ahead and give. I think writing 78 articles is almost like two books, right? So how do you encourage yourself? What actually got you to in this community at the very first place?
I think it's always started with a single blog. Back in
Yeah.
2012, when I was studying my masters, uh, in one of in my during my spring semester, there was one particular assignment that I was able to complete one of the feature, and obviously during the semester I never share my code with anyone because obviously there's a competition. That particular feature can be used in our project as well as semester, and I never thought that people were keen to have that piece of code from me. I received lots of email from almost 5 to 6 my peers, and they came to me offline as well, that and saying that they need that particular piece of code that I have done. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like shocked, like, okay, the semester is off now, why would they even need that? So I was at that time also exploring to do blogging, because at that time blogging has a little bit of a hype, but I was not sure what kind of niche I'm going to have, because
Mm-hmm.
the most of the blogs that I've seen, they are based on cooking. They are cooking based, especially when we talk about the blog, the viral blog that they can, which can get you some revenue and all those sort of stuff. So what I see, either do cooking blogs, fashion blogs, daily news, update tech news, those sort of things. So what I during that time in my educational period, what I decided, that instead of sharing my that particular piece of code individually to everyone, why not just make a blog? Because what I realized at that time, that when I have certain issue, I go to internet and I look into different beautiful blogs made by amazing people, and then I look into that problem set and the solution they give, and then come up with my own solution. So I thought, why not? I should also share my side of the story too. Like, maybe we have similar blogs, but the story would be from my end. So I,
Mm-hmm.
make my very first post back in 2012, and share that particular link to all those who were requesting me to, to give us your piece of code. Like, I thought, instead of going one by one to every individual and explain, okay, what this is doing and how it is doing, because obviously just handing out a piece of code won't be enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I just make a proper blog post and I post it, and I got very good response from it. So from that I just started, like, just for the sake of fun, I just whenever I feel like, okay, this is not on the internet, I don't see any good blog post of this particular topic, so I just start posting it. So as I progress in my career, I after my graduation, I receive an internship at Microsoft Pakistan. There
Mm-hmm.
was an innovation center here, so I joined there. One of my mentor there, na, he said to me that you seem like someone who is very interested in sharing your knowledge, because I really enjoy off the record helping someone else, solving someone else's problem. So he just kind of uh, told me that, why you not start to compete yourself into Microsoft MVP. There, at that time, I literally don't even know what MVP is all about, and I was like, what is he's talking about? He's just putting me. He just want me to do some extra effort. Why would I do that? So I just didn't bother what he said, and he was really bucking me up, motivating me. No, you should go down that path. You're doing the blog, but you should go down that path too. But I was really not interested, because at that time I was also looking for proper jobs and all that. So I didn't bother about it, and later on when I started my journey in the industry, so I realized that there's a lot of things that I can share when I have a downtime. When you're doing a job, you're not always doing something. There's always a downtime that you like, either you spend with talking with your peers or just waste it. So I thought, instead of wasting it, why not make it some productive. I know this this I just start making small little solution and share it with, because I see there's a lot of blog, but I don't see much of solution which are in really working form.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my main aim, to start a blog and share my knowledge, but with the working solution, so anyone can download it and use it. Because when I see many of the blogs out there, when I download it, sometimes they run, sometimes they don't run. So I ensure that whatever I post it runs properly.
Wow.
Right, so that's how I started my journey. And then I for some reason, that MVP thing that my mentor said to my, it's just stuck into my mind, like, okay, what is like that, let's just explore it now. Because I'm doing, and at that time I think I had around 40 blog posts on my own website. So I
Mhm.
thought, like, okay, let's just explore it. I have been into look look into help from C Sharp Corner as well, but I didn't know they also have that MVP thing and all that.
Mhm.
So I thought, why not start publishing here as well. So I explore a bit Microsoft MVP side. I didn't know about C Sharp Corner MVP side. I just started to join. I was like, okay, I'm posting on my own site, so why don't share it into a community which is very huge, and it will
Mhm.
be more helpful here. Instead, I post independently. It might not, the information I post might not channel to everyone. If I join
Mhm.
a community, it will channel to a wider audience. So that
Mhm.
was my aim job while when I registered myself with C Sharp Corner. I didn't know, like, I was like hoping okay, I've just joined like I joined, I did join C Sharp Corner in 2015, but I like really seriously posting my stuff in 2016. So I
Mhm.
was not expecting. Obviously, I thought I'm just starting, or it's not going to happen that quickly. Like, I'm not going to be just, I just started out, and
Yeah.
Microsoft MVP. It's a very big thing. Like, how can that be? I just say, okay, fine, just let keep doing and posting it. And on 2017 March, around March, and yes, I think it's around March or February, I received an email from C Sharp Corner that congratulations that you are C Sharp Corner MVP. I was like, what? I'm C Sharp Corner MVP. How is that even possible? I just started out. Look, I didn't even believe that it really happens. Like, how is
Mhm.
that even possible? I was not expecting, because I just started it out. So that really helps me out when I was someone from Microsoft community also nominated me as an
Mhm.
MVP, and I was shocked again. Like, okay, like, and that happened 1 month after I get the email of C Sharp Corner MVP. Like, okay,
Okay.
you've been nominated by someone for a Microsoft MVP. I was like,
So
what?
you knew that someone nominated you? Didn't knew that someone nominated you?
No, I didn't know. I
Oh
didn't
wow.
know. I was not even expecting, didn't I? Like, I told you that I just started in 2016, seriously starting that whole track of mine. So and I have that in mind, that obviously Microsoft, if to become a Microsoft MVP, you have to do a lot of things. You cannot just do one thing at a time. So I was
Mhm.
conducting local sessions as well. I was participating in offline help with my local community, and I'm doing my own blog. I'm conducting sessions. I'm conducting posting on different forums as well, and C Sharp Corner, and then as well. So it just happened like crazy, and I was like, okay, just after 1 month of receiving an email from C Sharp Corner, I received an email from Microsoft as well that you have been nominated. And I was like, oh my god, this is really happening. And on April 2017, I was being selected as MVP from Pakistan, and I was like, "Oh my God,
Oh
this
my
really
god.
happens." And the thing is, yeah, and the another more exciting thing is that at that time when I become C Sharp Corner MVP, I was the first female from Pakistan to
That's
become C
great.
Sharp
That's
Corner
phenomenal.
MVP, and also this first female from Pakistan to become a Microsoft MVP.
There you go. That makes sense.
So
All right.
so that is more an add-on happiness to that particular part. Like, okay, I'm not even just received this recognition, but I also am the first female, which I add a huge responsibility on your on your
Mhm.
shoulder, that how you go about now, and how you can help out your community. So
You should
that's how my journey as an MVP started, and it
you should
still
definitely
continues, Alhamdulillah.
yeah. You should definitely go ahead and tell more people about this, that your first C Sharp Corner and Microsoft Female MVP. That's phenomenal. I wasn't expecting this in this live show that I'll be interviewing someone like this.
I actually, my mentor here, when I told him that okay, I have become the MVP now, so he was very excited. Actually, he reached out to me and mentioned and asked me that he heard that because he's employed there at Microsoft. So he asked me that I've heard that you have become Microsoft MVP. Is that true? I said yes, that is true. So he told me that you are the first female from Pakistan to become an MVP. And I was like, oh my God. So I just, go to C Sharp Corner, and he also said me to confirm that from C Sharp Corner as well, because I haven't seen any female MVP from there, from Pakistan especially. So I, go to my Facebook and contact Mr. Parveen, and I ask him that,
Yeah.
am I the first? Am I? Have you ever? Like I simply asked him and simply messaged him and said that, are there any female MVPs from Pakistan before me? So
Yeah.
he just verified that and respond to me. I still have that message. So he responded me that you are the first one
Oh
at the
my goodness.
moment, like you are the first one. So I was like, oh my God, this thing happened doubly.
So that's phenomenal. I think starting from as a college code that people were asking you, right? You deciding not to just go ahead and give it to someone which just won't make sense. You decide to go ahead and write a blog, explain that code, then share it with people. I think that is the basic fundamental from where it actually started, sharing in the community and all that. There's one day when people get their luck. It's actually all that hard work people have done in the past. So those February, March, April, when you become a C Sharp Corner MVP, Microsoft MVP, I think it's just all that you have been doing for the community in the past. And this is so it's so nice, and it's so humble of you to go ahead and do that. Really great to hear. As I said earlier, I really wasn't expecting this show to go at this way. So thank you so much, Asma, to what you do for the community. We really appreciate it. We should sometime get you again to talk about more on this, as this is pretty exciting to go ahead and learn the C Sharp Corner MVP and Microsoft MVP from Pakistan. Exciting
See,
stuff.
she's C Sharp is that's why very special for me, because it was my very first MVP
Yeah.
recognition that I received, and I received Microsoft recognition after that. So it's
Yeah.
very special to me.
Yeah, and I see, people say amazing journey and motivation. Definitely, Asma, your journey is really motivating from college itself, right? When you say your friends started asking, and that's how you did it. Very inspiring. And I won't take much of your time. I know you have a topic to go ahead and talk about. So everyone who's tuning us now, Asma Khalid is a C Sharp Corner and a Microsoft MVP from Pakistan. First from Pakistan, to be specific. And in this second half, she's going to talk about a technical topic, that is installing Windows Linux Subsystem. It goes over my head what it is, but she's going to tell a brief introduction and maybe in depth. So Asmaya, you can go ahead and put your slides, then I'll add it to the stream.
Is my slide? Are
Yeah,
you able to see my slide? Okay.
yeah, yep,
So
yep.
let me start. So first of all, thank you, C Sharp Corner, for giving this opportunity to me. And let me discuss today. I will be discussing about Linux system on Windows. What it's all about, how you can enable it, how you can install it, and how you can work with it. So let's begin. So before we jump into how we can install and enable Linux subsystem, it's important to know what Linux subsystem is about. So Linux subsystem is basically a Linux environment available directly on Windows machine without the overhead of installing any virtual box or dual boot setup. So this particular feature is introduced in Windows operating system with Windows 10, and you can also use this system on Windows Server 2019 or above. So this is the basic system requirement for this feature on Windows. You have to have Windows 10 or above, or you have Windows Server 2019 or above if you want to enable this feature on Windows Server. So now let's look into how we can enable Linux subsystem on Windows. So for that you need to go to control panel, then uninstall program and then turn Windows feature on or off. Here you need to enable a few features. You need to enable Hyper-V. You also need to enable containers. Now these two feature you can it's recommended to enable them. Otherwise, if your Windows upgrade and you switch to Windows subsystem second version, they might get have issue and ask you to install these features. So it is recommended that you install these two particular feature, Hyper-V and containers, beforehand. And then when you scroll down, you can see this feature, Windows Subsystem for Linux, and you also need to enable this, and then simply click OK, and the feature will be enabled, and you need to reboot your system. I have already installed the feature. Then let's look into how we can install a Linux subsystem on Windows. So to install a Linux subsystem, we have enabled the feature of a Linux subsystem. Now what we need a distribution file of Linux subsystem, which you can go to this particular link which I have opened here. This is basically a Microsoft link where you can download any of the distribution of Linux available here of your choice. I have downloaded Ubuntu 2004, which I will be using today in this session. So when you have downloaded this particular distribution, I have downloaded it here. It will have .appx extension. Now you need to extract this particular file. You can either extract it using PowerShell, or you can simply rename it and change type from appx to .zip, and then you can simply extract the content of this zip file. I have extracted it right here. These are the content of this particular file. You can see there are total of 9 items. As I have extracted a fresh distribution copy. Then you need to open a command prompt as an administrator, and you need to change your directory to this distribution where you have extracted the distribution of your choice. I have Ubuntu, so I need to oh, sorry for that. I need to copy this path and change my directory in command prompt like this: cd space and then the directory and then e. Change my drive because it isn't in the default C drive. So now I'm in this. All I now need to call this Ubuntu 2004.exe from command prompt, and just simply enter. Now know that these three, now currently the system is being is installing. So you need to, every time when you want to use this particular subsystem, or you need to work on your Linux environment, you need to do these steps. You need to every time you need to call Ubuntu 2004.exe. So I recommend, instead of opening your command prompt again and again, just simply create a bat file, which I have created here. Let me just show you. So this is a run.bat. If you look into its content, it contains those three commands that I will be using to open my Linux environment every time I want to work into it. So simply make a bat file, and whenever you want to access it, right click on your bat file and run it as an administrator. So here you can see the installation has started, and it's asking me to give my username. So let me give, and also my password.
I see your password.
So here's, I have successfully installed my Windows, my Linux subsystem on my Windows. Now, before I can use this Linux environment, I need to make sure to update and upgrade my Linux environment. So I have already have another copy with me, where I have update and upgrade, because update and upgrade take about 40 to 30 minutes, which won't be possible to here show, but I can show you the commands that you can execute to make these updates and upgrade. So after installing your Linux distribution on Windows, you need to simply update and upgrade. First, update your Linux system to its latest version of your packages, and then upgrade your system. So let me switch to that particular copy. So as I have created my bat file, I can simply run it as an administrator. And here you can see that my Linux environment has started. Now, if I run those commands, now know this: when you install this distribution, you become the root user. As you know about the root, if you have worked in Linux, you know the concept of the root user. So in order to check that whether you as a since you know that my username that I created here is Ubuntu, but in order to know that whether I have the privileges of a root user, I can type this particular command, which is sudo space, and it is who am I. Sorry. So it's asking me my password, which I am giving what I have set during the installation. So here, if you can see, it is showing me root. If doesn't show you root, it means that you don't have the privileges of a root user. If you see the root word here, it means that you have all the privileges of a root user. So now let's look into the directory structure of a Linux subsystem. Since it's a Linux based environment, so its directory structure is exactly same as you see on the Linux. If you see this small tilde symbol here, it means that I am currently not at the root of my directory. So to do that, I just type cd. If I want to go one directory up, I need to type cd double dot, and I will go one directory up into my directory hierarchy. And if I want to directly go to root, all I have to do is cd slash forward slash and just simply enter. So now I am at the root of my Linux environment, and if I type here command ls, which means to list all the directory which is available into this particular folder, you can see all the directory which are available here will be listed down here. Now next, let's make a simple directory unit using a Linux environment. So into my root, so what I need to do, I need to type sudo mkdir. Let's just name it my stuff. Oh, sorry, I just typed the sudo wrong. Sorry for that. So let me. So now if I run the ls command again, you can see that my directory has been created here. And if I want to access it, all I have to do is simply cd and type the name of my folder and enter. And now I'm into enter into my directory. This is a standard way how you make a folder, a subdirectory, or even a file in your Linux environment. Now let's take the advantage, since we are on a Windows machine. So why not take the directory structure advantage of a Windows system instead of typing a command. Let's say I have a folder and I want that folder to work on a Linux environment. What I will do that instead of one by one making folder or its content here from a command, like what I do is simply copy it from my Windows environment and move that to my Ubuntu environment. How I can do that? Let's say this is my folder. It contains a simple C++ hello world program. So I just simply copy the folder. And if you go if you go into your installation directory where you have installed your where you have installed your Ubuntu environment, you notice that initially when you extracted a fresh copy, there were total of nine items in it. Now after installation, there's around 12 or 13 items. So in these item root fs is basically our main important directory, which is basically root of our Ubuntu environment. So if I go into this particular folder, you can see all the directories and all the files which I can see right here into my Linux environment at its root folder. All of them are available. So I just simply use Windows paste command and paste my particular folder here. Now, if I go back to my Linux environment and let's check my directory by simply typing ls command, I can see that my folder is now available here. So now let's try to access it. So if I now try to access it, I definitely get permission deny message. Why I'm getting this is because I'm Linux environment does not understand that what sort of permission that how this folder has been created. If I created the folder staying within the environment of the Linux, that it will easily grant the permission, the default permission to it. But I do not have but Linux do not know how this folder just appear here. So it does recognize it, but it does not give it any permission. You can check the permission setting of all of these folder by using ls-al. AL option will list you all the permission setting and the user ownership with the particular file and directory in your Linux system. So when I execute it, you can now see here that my stuff, since this is I created using my Linux environment, so it has been given the default user permission, while this particular folder that I have copied don't have any permission. So that's why if I try to access it, I won't be able to access it. You can change anytime you take the advantage of Windows operating system and copy any folder or file out of your Linux environment to your Linux environment. You always need to make sure to change the ownership and the permission setting of particular folder. To do that, to understand the detailed permission setting, I will share you a link here, and I will go into this slide. Let me just first share a command with you how you can change the ownership and the permission setting of this folder. So first thing is that first you need to change the ownership of your folder that you have copied here. To do that, we use a command sudo, then space, then we use ch own. This is a change ownership. It means change ownership. So its command is ch own, then space minus capital R. This minus capital R means that we want to change ownership recursively inside the folder. Like if the folder contain any directory, any subdirectory, any file, change the ownership of those as well. Then space, and then the user which you want to grant permission, which you want to grant ownership to your folder. So I want to give my root folder the grant to access this particular folder. So I am typing here root name. So then name of your folder, which in my case is my stuff too, and simply at this point the ownership has been changed. Now let's change the permission of our folder as well. So for that we have command sudo space chmod. This means change mod or change the permission for your folder. Again, R change permission recursively for the subdirectories and the file. Now here you need to type a code. So 755 is basically a default permission setting on Linux system, whether you are using subsystem or you are using directly the operating system in VirtualBox or to dual boot. So here you simply then type your folder whose permission you want to change, and if you again type the command ls-al, you can now see that my the folder my underscore stuff has the permission that is required here. And if now I try to access it, so I will be able to access it. And if I again check whether it has something inside it, and you can see it also being given the permission as I have used -r command. So what does 755 is about? Let me just go to my slide back. So you can go to this link and look into the detail of how this combination is made, what it's all about. Just in a nutshell, ch mode gives the user privileges, a group privileges, and others and privileges you want to give to other user, and that kind of stuff. So when you say when you type 754 here, digit 7, 5 and 4 each represent. 7 is basically you are giving code 7 to user permission, giving permission to user. 5 you are giving permission to groups, and 4 is a permission you are giving to others, right? So let's see what the combination is about. 4 stand for read, 2 stand for write, 1 stand for execute, and 0 stand for no permission. So for with the combination of this, so 7 basically becomes 4 plus 2 plus 1, means that this particular group will have read, write, and execute permission. 4 means that 4 plus 1, 5 means that this particular group will have read, no write, but execute privilege, and only 4 means that this particular group will have only read privileges. So that's how the permission work, but you can go into the detail uh, at that link as well. So now let's compile a simple C++ hello world program into our Linux environment. For that, you first need to install your C++ compiler. To do that, you need to type following command, which is sudo apt-get install g++. Since I've already have the version installed on my Linux environment, you can see that it says that G++ is already there. I can check my version by typing G++ double dash version, and it will show me the version of the G++ compiler I have installed here. So I here okay, I have shown you this command how you can install it. So this is a simple, very simple C++ program. It's just printing hello world out, and as I execute my program. So now to execute this particular program here, as I show you that, I'm sorry, my stuff folder already contain my cpp file, right? And if you open it into your notepad editor, you can see that the code is already there. So now let's execute it. To execute it, we need to first we need to use this particular command. So we type sudo, we type g++, then we type Okay, sorry, before that we need to go into our folder where that particular .cpp file is. So let me change my directory first. Now sudo g++, then I will type name of my cpp file. Okay, sorry. Then dash o, you can dash o, this option, this is optional, you can type it here or you can leave it. What this does is it allow you to create your compiled binary of your program, which you will use later on to see the output of your program. So when you type dash o and give the name of the output, let's suppose I will name my binary file output. So I'm naming it my binary name is output. So when I enter it, it started to compile a program. I really apologize from the about the cat fight behind my house. So let's just enjoy that background music. So here you can see that we have, when we compile our code, our output binary is generated here. Now to access it, to actually see what my program output, I need to type this dot forward slash and then output, which is just generated right now. And when I execute it, I can see the output of my simple C++ program. So this is how you can run, compile and execute a simple C++ program or any your CPP file. Okay. So that's about the session from my end. So if you would like to, reach out to me and stay connected to me, you can go to my social channels and you can contact me directly through my email, which is available right here on this slide. So this is that's about it from my end. Let's switch back to Stephen. Yes,
All right,
I
Asma. That was an amazing demo. I think a couple. I really didn't knew that you don't have to create a virtual machine to use Linux. I really didn't know that, and not just like a one version of Linux. You see, we had Red Hat, we had Ubuntu. You can go ahead and use anything that you want, right? So
yeah.
quick question, Asma. That even I think one of our viewers are interested is. Why don't you install Linux itself? I mean, we can go ahead and create two users, right? Or I can have one for Windows, I can have one for Linux. Okay, no virtual machines, but definitely I can do it. So, what is the main benefit of adding it, of doing it through this subsystem?
This subsystem, I think the main benefit is that Ubuntu environment is totally developer friendly environment. So when you
Okay.
do some very heavy intensive processing over it, it always have that particular issue that your system might crash. You always need to have backup of backup snippet of that particular
Hmm.
state of your operating system, so that if something crashes down, you can restore it back to its original state. So and also you in order to work in Linux environment, you always need to have a dual boot on your, either you go to the dual boot to
Hmm.
directly utilize your machine resources as a totally independent operating system, or you can you can use virtual boxes, which mostly people use virtual
Yes.
boxes. Very
Yeah.
only those people who deployment is based on Linux, only they go directly into the Linux environment, to
Yes.
either
Yeah.
test out or either deploy it. So what one advantage using a subsystem is that you can leverage Windows operating system with it as well. As we know that Ubuntu does have graphical UI interface, but
Hmm.
still all the command base. It's still a command based operating
Mhm.
system, that it shines more if you know do all your stuff in that command based environment. So if you are coming from that Windows background na, so it will become very difficult for you to
Yeah.
adopt into that command type of environment. As I show you, like it's a directory structure, it's very simple, even though creating it through command is not that
I'm
difficult.
not running C++
But
like that.
yeah, that's
That's tough. That's tough for many
obviously.
people.
Yeah, that's not for many, but the thing is, graphical user interface always give you the advantage over command line programming, because as we move to the modern languages, we always feel more comfortable working in that less coding and more usability kind of an environment. So we have Windows operating, and we can directly work Linux environment, so we can take advantage of both Windows, and we can also work on our Linux subset. Instead, we just go and make a dual boot, then switch between operating system. One of the another advantage which I seen with the Linux subsystem is this particular session that I install Linux and subsystem environment on a Windows 10 machine, but you can
Okay.
also install it on Windows Server as well, Windows Server 2019 and above. So that also give you the advantage that you can concurrently deploy your Windows applications and your Linux applications on the same machine,
Hmm.
because server machine is always on, so you don't have to
Yeah.
purchase a Linux server separately to have
Exactly.
only Linux operating system there, and Windows server separately, and have only Windows server there. You can have only Windows server, and you can deploy your Linux application directly there. I have worked with that, and it worked really well, and it
Yeah.
become more easy and resourceful.
Yeah, that's I think a pretty cool thing. I mean, for folks who are just using it for offline from your local system, it's okay. You can go ahead and do virtual box and all that stuff. But you gave, I think, a very good example that hey, you have a server running up, which is costing you the compute, the storage. You don't want to buy two different virtual machines or two different servers just to go ahead and take the leverage of two different operating system. Start your subsystem,
Exactly.
for Windows, and start running any of your PHP
And it's totally
applications or
free,
yeah.
and it's totally free. It's a Windows
Mhm.
built-in feature. Like, you don't have to for Windows Server, I think Docker is not free of cost. It use the
Yeah.
enterprise version there, so you don't need to spend any extra money to purchase a separate machine, or to purchase a specialized software or virtual boxes just to run it on a same machine. Because most of the time people just start trying out Windows Linux programming. They don't most of the time totally intended to work into them. Maybe they have a project into Linux, or they
Mhm.
go again to the virtual box, but virtual box doesn't really justify the resource
Yeah.
utilization of Linux, and it always give you a lot of issues. So then they go to the dual boot, and then they have issue that we have to switch between the operating system. It became difficult for them.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think this is a very good feature that Microsoft introduced.
Yeah, and definitely, as I popped, Microsoft loves open source, right? This is a new Microsoft that we are looking. It wasn't the
Yeah,
Microsoft almost like 5, 6 years back. They already wanted to be Windows
yeah,
specific, all Microsoft specific. But as we see .NET Core coming up, cross-platform, this Linux things that comes inbuilt, which I think many more people should know about it. Right? Stop those virtual boxes are running up there. We'll take one last question that has come from the comments, Asma. I think we're almost over time now. That's from Deepak. He says,
yeah.
"Ma'am, I cannot find Hyper-V in my system," and I see many systems do not have it at the very first place. Yeah. So how to figure that out?
Yeah, so basically, to yes, there's a reason. If you don't see Hyper, you need to explicitly go into your machine's BIOS to enable virtualization. So you need to
Okay.
make sure that whatever machine you have, it has the ability to use virtualization, and if it does have, then you need to go into the BIOS of your machine and ensure that virtualization is enabled from your BIOS. Once that is enabled, then you will able to see the Hyper-V feature.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I see in Dell you usually have to do it. In Dell or HP, I don't know. In one of the product laptop, you always has to go ahead and do it. And in one of the laptops, it always come activated. But never mind. I think it was a pretty cool demo, Asma. I think you did start about what is the subsystem, and then you go ahead in very detail talking about how you
Yes.
can run it, different users. I loved all those numbers
Thank
that
you.
you share,
Thank
that
you.
all the, that you have. Then even go ahead and run an entire application. So pretty interesting end to end. And I think definitely people who have watched us now and people who will watch the archived session will definitely take the advantage of it. As Asma, other than thank you, I really just cannot say anything more than that to you. But thank you, Asma, for all that you do for the community. We really need more people like you. 78 articles, 178 forums, and so many blogs, and all this time that you give to the community. That's really appreciable. Thank you so much. So everyone says thank you, Deepak. Thank you for your time too. Any last words, Asma, before we go ahead and close the session?
Th- Thank you, everyone. Thank you. A really, really special. I just said I just really want to thank. Okay, I just really want to thank C Sharp Corner so for making such an amazing platform and giving people like me the opportunity to share my knowledge. The way I wanted to share it. So that's basically my key here. When I share my knowledge, I want to share it my way. So really, it's an amazing platform, and it gives me a lot of opportunity, not just to share my thing, but also to learn and grow and and find the challenging question that people share, and train myself to and learn new things. So it's really amazing.
All right, Asma, thank you so much. That's really
And
nice of
thank you
you.
for you, Stephen, for creating such an amazing session today.
Yay! Well, I don't do anything. I just sit back. So, Asma, thank you so much once again, and thank you so much everyone who has joined us today in the live show. We're gonna come back next week.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take care, everyone. Yeah. I think Stephen just lost the connection, but really thank you everyone for joining the session, and take care, all of you around the globe, and Allah Hafiz. I'm just waiting for Stephen to come join back.
I told you it was supposed to happen.
Yes, yeah, it's open now. I'm just saying I like Stephen just lost the connection. So I was just saying that thanks everyone for joining us today, and stay safe, and take care of yourself globally, and that's it. Allah Hafiz.
Yeah. Oh, Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you soon.
Allah Hafiz. Take care. Bye. See you.